And tonight our speaker is Dana Austin. Dana took the Texas Master Naturalist training in 2021 and is committed to conservation with a primary interest in native plants and natural area restoration. She is a member of the Cross Timber Master Naturalist chapter and the North Central chapter of the Native Plant Society of Texas. She regularly volunteers at Pollinator Gardens in Arlington, the Molly Holler Wildscape in Arlington, and the Fort Worth Zoo Pollinator Garden here in Fort Worth, and likes to volunteer at other areas as time allows. She is educated and trained in anthropology and formerly served as the forensic anthropologist for the Tarrant County Medical Examiner. So let's welcome James.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. It's a pleasure to be invited to speak. I'll be speaking on native grasses and sedges in the landscape tonight. And first, we want to talk about our partner, Texas Water Regional District, our Regional Water District. So our goal are, as native plant people, as individuals, we all believe in conserving water. And so we share this vision with the TRWD, and they get requests for talks. And when it's about native plants, when people are requesting talks for native plants, they contact our speakers bureau. And so we have been getting out and doing more talks for them. They support our chapter in that way. And it's really a wonderful mission. And I feel a great passion about water conservation. TRWD is in charge of our water supply, and they have lakes pretty distant from here that they bring the water into our area. They work on flood control, and they interest the public through offering recreation in the different facilities that they have. If you've ever been to their headquarters in Fort Worth, they have it landscaped beautifully with native plants. Oftentimes that's one of the tours with the Texas Master Naturalist. It's definitely worth going out there and seeing that. It's beautiful. They also have on their website, they offer a lot of services for us. When I first got interested in native plants and water conservation here, I took a lot of their classes. They have a lot of great classes online. They're very informative. You can sign up if you're watering lawn. They'll come out and check your sprinkler system for you if that's where you are these days. And they give weekly watering advice. When you sign up with that, it comes in your email, and they check the weather report, and they give you a pretty good idea about how much you should be watering, which really means how much you should not be watering. So we appreciate that. But you can check their website for their calendar of events and classes and other tips on saving water. Okay, so the picture on the left is a Lindheimer muley that Avon Burton supplied. That's like her mailbox muley that gets a lot of attention from the neighbors, and you can see how beautiful it is there. And tonight we're going to discuss native grasses and sedges in the landscape. So first of all, most of us here understand what native plants are. These are organisms that have co-evolved with insects and other animal organisms over hundreds of thousands of years in this area. And if we want to encourage our insect population, this is what we want to provide for them. They provide food sources, shelter sources, and host plants for completing the life cycles. We know that here, Texas is so interesting because it has so many ecoregions that are separated by the type of soil, the geology, how much rainfall, how much temperature. I mean, it's a huge state, no doubt about it. You could drive across about 6 East Coast states, to go just across Texas. But we know that our native plants are going to survive in the places where they have evolved. This climate data came from meteorologist Jeff Ray on CBS DFW. He presented to us at the Master Naturalist meeting probably in 2023 or early 24. And I won't read all the data to you, but you know, in 2022, the average high was 100.2, which was the second hottest average ever. In 2023, we moved on to have the hottest and fourth driest summer. And August was the second hottest month ever recorded. And now we seem to be moving into the fall. You know, now we're breaking records for September. September was the second hottest September ever in 2023. I'll have to look at the data. And then we also get these big swings where it can be 75, 85 degrees one afternoon, and we can drop down significantly and have freezing temperatures the next day. If you're online, you're probably nodding, but everybody in the room is nodding too. We all know this, and native plants are going to be better adapted for these types of swings. And I think, and you know, I prepared this talk to give to the Bedford Senior Center, and it was at noon on maybe on a weekday, and there were 25 people that showed up to that. People are very interested in native plants, and so I'm really glad that our chapter is doing so much to get out and try to educate people on just exactly how we can survive this climate change that we're experiencing at this time. So this is going to be like a survey of I took the grasses and sedges that we teach in the Native Landscape Certification Program through NIPSOT to highlight in this presentation. When I was looking on seedsource.com, which is the Native American seed website, and they had a book on Texas native grasses, and I just happened to notice that on the cover it said 573 Texas native grasses, and I'm like, oh, this is not that lecture. I'm just covering what's happening now, and what I've noticed is that where did you get those grasses, Karen? Yeah, so some of these grasses that you're going to see today, they're becoming more and more readily available at native plant stores or nurseries, and so it's just wonderful to see that this is happening. So of course the big four prairie grasses for our area: little blue stem, big blue stem, Indian grass, and switchgrass. And in the landscape, they really provide a lot of structure and beautiful color. So I've noticed that commercially, a lot of times, it's just this big sweep of one or a few grasses, but I really like it when they're mixed in with the other flowering plants. And that's what I'm doing in my landscape at this time. So these four grasses are essential to the Texas prairies. They can have roots up to 10 feet long. So these plus other grasses can really anchor the soil, prevent erosion. I took a silver blue stem that I purchased at the plant sale. I have a little slope in my yard, and it was eroding, and I just placed that at the bottom of that little channel, and I don't have a problem anymore. Those long roots feed the water back into the water table, and they help the plant during times of drought. And they thrive here in our conditions. So when you're driving around and you're seeing them, because they are showing up a lot more in commercial landscaping, you see what's on the surface, but think about what's happening underneath. It's so interesting. So big blue stem. This is I don't know where this picture's from, but The seed head could look like a turkey foot with the, the three stems on it. It's bluish green in summer. It turns into a pretty russet color in the fall. You can cut it back in winter. It provides shelter and nesting places for birds and, probably lizards too. It does host a couple of skipper butterflies and attracts, of course, birds and butterflies. And it's deer resistant. And the information I got on these comes from the Lady Bird Johnson website. And I did notice that most of these are deer resistant. So I know a lot of people are looking for deer resistant plants as well in their landscape. So this would be something that you could recommend if people are asking. Indian grass, this is a beautiful specimen here. This is at the Fort Worth Zoo Pollinator Garden. It has these beautiful broad blue-green leaves like you see here, but in the fall it could have tones of orange and purple and soft golden brown seed heads. So it can also take some shade, and it provides seed and nesting material to wildlife, host butterflies, and high deer resistant. So if it's this garden gets irrigated fairly regularly, but if you were to put it in an area without a lot of irrigation, you might want to put some taller plants around it because it might be leaning over. Little blue stem. I don't know. Do you have a favorite child? I really like little blue stem. Um, this picture is from uh oh, I can't think of the name of it. A park in Fort Worth over there on the west side. And this was, and you can see the fall color and the trees, and then you see the russet brown color of the little blue stem. And then here in my yard, and while it's still green, it has beautiful, it's really kind of blue green down in the base. Just a really pretty plant. I live in the Eastern Cross Timbers, and it's, a commonly occurring plant there. I have really sandy soil. So it can take part shade too. I was surprised to see that. And it hosts multiple butterflies and is deer resistant. Now this is Dickey's Arena. This picture is taken in January of this year. So they covered this whole embankment with these native grasses. I don't, I'm not sure what this is. I don't know if anybody else, I mean,
It's like Gulf Muley maybe? Yeah, I was thinking maybe.
like a muley. Okay. And then we've got little blue stem, and there's kind of a mix of, I knew some of these were muley, and little blue stem. So they have, it's an interesting concept to just cover the entire area, with the grasses. I mean, good for wildlife, good, for our environment. But it might be a little bit prettier if you put in a little other flowers in there with them. So, those are just my comments. And if anybody else wants to make comments, we can accommodate that. So this picture shows a pond and shows how the grasses, no matter the time of year, this is from early March last year, and you can see how it gives so much structure to the area. And there are places here where that flowering plants are going to be coming to life soon, but they really look so nice in the late winter. And another pond at the same place, just showing some of the structure that these plants provide. So they don't have to be a stand just of those. They can mix in well with others. Eastern gamma grass is really pretty. I really like it. We have this out at the Molly Holler Wildscape, and you can see the seeds are this beautiful orange color. And it can be tall. I think it might need a little bit more water. And it'll, oh yeah, there we go. Hard shade, moist conditions. The deer will eat it, but it provides shelter and nesting areas for birds, larval host to the bunch grass skipper, and definitely attracts butterflies. Very attractive. So let's talk about turf grass alternatives. This is at the Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center. They have like this beautiful dramatic, demonstration, which is so pretty. We have we at Molly Holler Wildscape, there's also a demo of and it's buffalo grass and blue grama and the curly mesquite there. So these stay short. They can take maybe a little bit of mowing, but one of their one of the good points is that you don't have to mow. They stay that short. They don't keep growing. So they can be about buffalo grass can be about 3 inches. Can be mowed to about 3 inches one time per month. It stays green with as little as 1.5 inches of water per month. It has curly leaves and spreads by rhizomes. The seed is certainly available, and it likes a clay loam soil. I was told not to put that in my yard because my yard's too sandy. Blue grama can be mixed in with it. It's fine leafed, it forms clumps. And this one has the horizontal seed heads that look like eyebrows. So it's one of the eyebrow grasses, and those are so pretty. Really love that. And it's the most drought tolerant turf grass, and it hosts skippers. So if you look at Native American seed, they have a couple of mixes that just include these turf grasses. And then they have, if you look in their mixes, they have other mixes that include multiple plants plus a lot of different types of grasses. So if you're interested in, yes.
Yep, right, it's not really, it's for me though, but it's not really. Can you just hold it when for me? Because I talked to them seeds and they said, oh, their mix looks like for
Well, the question is, if you have a Bermuda lawn that's not, like thick and it's not thriving so well, can you just include these seeds in with it? I mean, I don't have any personal experience with that. Most of what I hear is that you would want to at least try to cover the Bermuda, maybe solarize it some, try to tap it down or get it to, go away. Bermuda can be a real problem and it can continue to crop up. And does anybody else have any experience with that they want to share? Anybody have a good
we're dealing with that lot of interest in them. And it's just so pervasive. And you have to do something mechanical or chemical before you put out good seed.
Okay, so the answer is at the Fort Worth Nature Center. The recommendation would be to put a mechanical cover or chemical in some way before you spend your money on the seed. Because the thing about seed, it doesn't take over right away. And so you've got some time there that you're going to have to water, and who else is there getting the water is the Bermuda. So it's it can be tricky, but we're definitely worth the effort. I mean, definitely worth the effort. Yes.
For what best time that plants?
Okay, the question is, what's the best time to plant buffalo grass seed? I don't know the answer. Does anyone? Yes.
You have to wait until the soil warms up to, I'm thinking 60 or 70 degrees. You don't want to plant it too early because then the birds are coming in.
Okay, so you don't want to plant it too early because it won't start to germinate yet and the birds may eat the seed. So you want to wait until it's maybe 60 or 70 degrees outside.
The soil.
Yeah, the soils. Soil temperature, 60 to 70 degrees. Thank you. Yes. Okay. So we have another opinion, maybe wait until the fall to plant, but you just have to do your research on that.
Yeah, they're obviously
I would think August.
nature when they fall off the plant, which is probably gonna be in the fall. It's just, if you're spending money on seed and you want to save it from being predated by birds or mice or whatever. Which is,
Okay, so just a little bit more discussion on that about spring versus fall. Yes.
yeah, I know if the growth circular is what's the timeline?
No, I mean, it wouldn't, I would think that grubs, so the question is, and if St. Augustine grass is being eaten by grubs, would you expect those grubs to eat the buffalo grass? And I do not know, but I would think no. That, they may have, I mean, I don't know of any known pests for it, so. Something else to do your own research on. Sorry, can't be helpful. So then we have some shade and partial shade loving grasses to talk about. Sidotes grama. It's famous in Texas because it's the state grass of Texas. And it has this really pretty swaying inflorescence, and all the seeds are off to the side. It's really a beautiful grass. Doesn't get too tall, maybe about 2 feet when it's producing seeds. And it stays short in the spring. It goes a little dormant over the winter and comes back and it stays short. So it's nice to mix in your flower beds because it's not going to be tall and overpowering with the flowers. In nature, it's found with little blue stem. Really commonly seen where I see it in the eastern cross timbers. And it does well in full sun. It's a larval host for the green skipper and daughter skipper butterflies. And deer resistant. I mean, I don't know what's wrong with the deer. It's so cute. You'd think they'd want to eat it. And then the next slide will show Canada wild rye. This one can get 2 to 4 feet, has really beautiful green seed heads that are large, and they tend to nod over. It can take a half a day of shade and prefers more moisture than some of the others, and also deer resistant and hosts for butterflies. So Karen provided this picture of it here that looks like it's maybe in the spring. This is an internet picture, but just showing those beautiful seed heads. It's very pretty. We've been putting it in for a while at the Molly Holler Wildscape, and it grows really well in the dappled sun that you get under the trees there. It's really pretty. Inland sea oats, probably a familiar plant to many people. I know a lot of people love this plant. It's a shade or partial shade loving grass. I've heard it called woodland sea oats, or is that right? And it spreads by seed. But you know, it's a low maintenance grass. It has these bamboo-like leaves, which you know, makes it really pretty. And then the seed heads they change color. They're kind of ivory in the summer, and then they turn, you know, go yellow gold and turn brown. And it's a larval host and deer resistant. Uh, Mexican feathergrass, that's really one of my favorites. It's so gentle and sweet, and it blows in the wind, which never stops here. And you know, it's just really a beautiful grass. So it's delicate. I can get up to about 3 feet tall. It likes well-drained soil. I have mine in full sun in the sand, and it loves it. But it will also grow in part sun, and it does go dormant in the winter. So it's not an evergreen grass. It will turn brown after the freeze. Um, um, and then over here we have our first sedge we're talking about, Texas sedge. It gets up to about a foot tall. This one spreads by seed, and you know, they really get dispersed far in the wind. I have it in one part of the yard, and where it started in one part of the yard, and it's flown all the way a great distance, and I've got it's just reseeding itself like crazy in the backyard. And it makes you know, I like it as a lawn alternative. It works fine. And I'll, you know, if it, as long as it's not flowering or seeding, I'll mow little paths through it because I have little dogs. And it takes it well. I really like it. Cedar sedge is up in the upper right corner. And that one is an evergreen sedge, and it stays a dark green, and it's a really beautiful complement in the winter landscape. The thing I'd like to say about sedges is that, you know, you don't want to have bare soil in your garden. And if you have that and maybe you're waiting for something to fill in, or you haven't decided what you're going to put there, sedges are like living mulch. They can just go in and be a placeholder and take space in the garden, and they're beautiful. And if you've got shade, I just highly recommend the cedar sedge. It's just beautiful. And Cherokee sedge here, you can see it in bloom. It'll get about 18 inches when when it has its seed heads. And it's one of the tallest sedges in our area. And it can take a lot of moisture. So it's good for for filler in large gardens, is what Molly Holler, I'm sorry, what the Lady Bird Johnson website recommends. Um, okay, so we actually see a lot of these. Yes, is there a question?
I was gonna ask on the cedar sedge, it's
Mhm.
good for an area with a slow and soil erosion.
Yes, absolutely.
The same thing with the sea oats.
Inland sea oats?
Like,
Yes,
all grasses are good for soil erosion.
yes.
Can you repeat the question?
The question and the answer was yes to both cedar sedge and inland sea oats being good for erosion problems. If you have a slope and your soil is eroding, these are good plants that you could use to solve those problems. Thank you for the question. The focal point grasses that we'll see most often are Lindheimer's muley. You know, it'll get 5 feet tall and 5 feet around as it matures. It has large inflorescence. It's a fountain-like grass. So, you know, people who like fountain grass, which of course is non-native and we don't want, you know, you can suggest this as an alternative. It's just gorgeous, and it takes our hot weather conditions here. It's semi-evergreen in the winter. It does have a lot of brown, but it'll still have a few little pieces of green after the freeze, a few little pieces. It likes well-drained soil. Gulf muley is shorter, maybe up to 3 feet tall while it's blooming, maybe a little bit bigger than that. It has these airy seed spikelets that they just look like fluff, and they turn a beautiful pink color in the fall. And seep muley is can be a beautiful problem solver if you have a wet area, if you have a what do you call this? The water garden, I'll think of it in a minute.
Rain garden.
Yeah, rain garden, nice in a rain garden. Or if you have a sloped area and you have an area that's getting a lot of water, the seep muley will really like it there. Now it's found on limestone, will tolerate dry conditions in full sun. So that's something that's more, west definitely of the eastern cross timbers. And Sandy provided these photos of her Lindheimer muley, so beautiful. And here's the pink color that you see in the fall on the Gulf muley and seep muley. The photo on the right is from a prairie, restoration that's being restored right now. And you can see the slope in the ground and you can just picture the water running down there and collecting down in the bottom. And the seep muley is a great, likes it there. It's going to find itself there. And here's you have seep muley, Karen? Maybe I got that in the wrong place. This is Karen's photo. Is that Gulf muley or seep muley? I don't mean to put you on the spot. I put it under seep, so probably she told me it was seep. So the care, these grasses need very little care if you're putting them in your landscape. That's the good news. If you're in a situation where, you hear people talk about that you have the native gardener, you share a lawn with someone who's not a native gardener, right? They want their lawn and you have your part. So you just would need to find out on any particular grass, can it tolerate mowing? If it accidentally gets mowed, and some of them can. I know in Arlington parks, they try to do a mowing schedule once a year, and they try to, do it at the right time of year. So there are those considerations with grasses. So many of them can take some mowing. Okay, so this is my place, and I've for the last several years, I've been converting, this typical urban boxwood lined flower beds. Most people don't have gravel in their yard, but I actually bought the house because it was xeriscaped in the front, over 25 years ago. And the gravel is just awful. I've been weeding that gravel for 25 years and it's on its way out. I'm getting it out slowly. But here where I've taken out the boxwoods along the front porch, this planting took place in the fall. So nothing, a lot of it is as late as November. So we don't see a lot, but one thing I learned from John Snowden, who's the grass man, and many of you know him, he knows a lot about grass. He recommended to plant the little blue stem in a triangular pattern and put liatris in the middle. So I've done that in several places. And I'll, at some point I'll come back and show you what this looks like later. But to me, one of the, I want this yard to look like it's in Texas. I don't want it to look like it could be anywhere, So it's really, we have the availability now of these plants, and it's just wonderful to get them in there. So where can you buy your native plants? We mentioned it earlier in the meeting. You want to, if you want to find the nice nurseries in this area, you can go to the main NIPSOD page, www.npsot.org, and then go to the chapters tab, and under chapters, select the North Central chapter. And then under North Central chapter, select programs tab. And one of our programs is the Nice Nurseries. And you will see a list, and the North Central chapter Nice Nurseries range over a wide area. We even list some of the ones that are in Denton County and, you know, that are covered by other Native Plant Society chapters. So it's a wonderful resource. And this spring I got contacted by somebody on the board asking what kind of plants I would like to see in the nursery. So the nursery owners are asking us what we would like to see. So that is just fabulous. And then they're gonna, you know, they're gonna go out and source it for us, and all we have to do is show up and buy it. I love it. Yes.
Section is, and then think about having it, instead of buying it.
Yeah, so one of our members who's here said that when he goes somewhere and asks if they sell native plants and they say they don't have any, or you know, or a lot of times you just get a look like, what's a native plant, right? Then he tells them that he doesn't shop at places that don't sell native plants. And in order to be listed as a nice nursery, the majority of your plants have to be native in your stock. So I guess 51% you're in. Is that right? Is that right, Holly?
So we have beer nursery, which is greater than 80%.
Okay, and we also have a premier nursery category if they're selling greater than 80%. I think those are the ones I mostly go to.
Yes.
Yeah, so we've got some really good ones out there. If you haven't looked lately, people are very, very interested in planting native plants, and the market has come up for it, and there a lot of beautiful plants are readily available. This is the seedsource.com for Native American seed. And this is the one I'm familiar with. There may be other companies. But if they will talk to you by phone. How do I know I shouldn't plant buffalo grass in my sandy soil? Because they told me so. I called them up and they advised me to not do it. So that is a great resource with them. They will talk to you about what you're trying to achieve. So I had asked some, you know, members to just send in pictures of native grasses in the landscape. So we'll just close with this. These are some pictures of the Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Centers given to me by Bill Hopkins. We've got some Lindheimer Muley and some, you know, others. This looks like a summer shot. Gulf Muley here in the foreground, Lindheimers in the background, mixed in with other plants. Here we have a nice focal point with those big Lindheimer Muleys. And I don't know if that's...
It's like Greg's Miss.
Is it Greg? I wasn't sure if it was Greg's or... Yeah, it does look like Greg's. I can see some. Yeah. So just beautiful. And did you have a question?
Very nice. Ultimately, they better when fibers. Because it seems like they don't have as much of a structure.
It kind of depends on where you're putting them. I mean, if you were to put them in front of a wall or someplace that would allow you to see those stems, you know, you could put one. It depends on how much space you have. If you have more room, they would look a little better and a little more dramatic in a grouping. I see a lot of heads nodding, so I think that's the general consensus.
What was your question?
The question was, would Gulf Muley, that Lindheimer Muley looks like it would be beautiful by itself, but what about Gulf Muley? Should it be planted in groups? And thank you for reminding me to repeat the question. And again, the Ladybird Wildflower Center, I like, you know, for me, you know what I like to do? I like to put sedges along the edge here. It looks so beautiful. Stays evergreen. And another picture from Bill. And then we have some Mexican feather grass. This is the white settlement. What do you call it? Pollinator garden? Is that what you guys? Monarch way station. And again, more at the white settlement Monarch way station. And obviously it's early, mid-spring, early spring with the bluebonnets blooming. This is from Stecia Pasaknik, and this is Gulf Muley here, planted with, I don't know, I don't know, what is it? It looks like Salvia greggii, right? And some some Blackfoot daisy and her beautiful yuccas, just looks beautiful. So, all right, there's my contact information if anybody ever wants to reach me. And are there any more questions or anything on the chat? No? Okay. All right, thank you.
Great presentation, Dana. Thank you very much.